What is up, everybody? This is your man, Big B, Brian Hanley. What is going on? Welcome to Steelers Almighty, man. Appreciate everybody being in here. We got some stuff to talk about today as far as the Pittsburgh Steelers, man. News just keeps coming up. As much as I try to get away from Aaron Rodgers, man, it just pulls me back in. Lord have me, we just can't get away. Now it's Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin bending the knees. Unbelievable what is going on. But it is what it is. It is what it is. So I appreciate everybody being in here, man. We're going to get after this thing today. So like I said, appreciate you all being in here. Talk about a couple of the rule changes from the NFL. We got some stuff going on. They're doing away with the tush push, man. Or they're going to try to anyway. It's absolutely unbelievable. Steelers appear to like the DK and George Pickens combo. I know there's some of you all that are done with Pickens. Steelers don't feel that way. We're going to talk about that today. And then Mike Tomlin, it seemed that he just gave more Tomlinisms, some coach speak. I didn't necessarily like it about Aaron Rodgers. We're going to talk about all that and more, man. So I appreciate everybody being in here. Again, super chats are wide open if you want to help support the channel that way. You can get your question, comment, or your rant up on the screen. You know how to do that. Also, memberships are available, man. 5 separate levels. All 22s are available in there. You definitely get your access for being a member, just like we got our members right here. Ronnie Homie, what's going on, man? We appreciate you being a member and supporting the channel. Same thing with our man, Luke Cage. Thank you all for supporting the channel. We appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much. So let's get into this, man. So the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's just start off with the NFL. Let's go there. The NFL is trying to eliminate the Eagles tush push. I think it's absolute garbage. There's coaches around the league with the competition committee or the rules committee that they basically are trying to get this thing outlawed. They're trying to get rid of it. And I want some discussion in the chat. What do you guys think? Because first of all, I think it's absolute garbage. But let me go over some of the things. So basically, they're going to adopt the new rule and a revision. For anything to get done, you have to have a 75% vote. So basically, 24 of the 32 owners have to vote for this to be a new rule. I think it's just dumb. To be honest with you. And here's the pushback. Bart Scott today on ESPN made an absolute fool of himself talking about, well, defensive guys can't push anybody. And I'm like, yeah, they can. And Tim Hasselbeck was on there. He was like, no, defensive guys just can't push anybody on a field goal. But on just any other play, they absolutely can push somebody. But why would a defender do that? Like, why would a defender want to push the back of a defensive lineman? That doesn't make sense to me. But Bart Scott, we kind of know Bart Scott is pretty stupid from time to time, people. But to get rid of it, I mean, what are we saying? We're just going to get rid of short yardage situations? Just, hey, you know what? If you get to, first or second and 2 or third and 2 or less, just automatic first down. We're just doing 8 yard. Anything, no matter what it is, if you get to a second or 2 yards or less, we're just going to automatically give you a first down. I can't even say it. It's so stupid. Like, what? Look, I understand that it gives them an advantage. I totally understand it. But you could stop it. Like, for instance, the Steelers aren't great at the tush push. I mean, we're okay at quarterback sneaks and stuff from time to time, but we saw that in a game this year where we needed a quarterback sneak and we couldn't get it. Y'all remember that game against the Bengals at the end of the year. So you can stop this thing if you choose to. It just seems like they have the personnel that doesn't allow it. Mr. Alonzo Dunn has joined us today. What's going on, Mr. Dunn? Thank you for joining us. So, but the thing is that, look, if you can't stop it, you can't stop it. Don't let them get to 3rd or 4th and 1 then, if you don't like it. If it's a problem for you, then don't let that team get to 3rd or 4th and 1. Okay? Otherwise, Just stop it. I don't want to hear the nonsense. I just don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. You know, it's there's ways that you can, everybody just doesn't convert. It's not 100% successful. That's not what this thing is. So I just don't have the patience for the nonsense, man. I don't have the patience for the nonsense. And, the committee, the NFL commissioner, he selects the competition committee. Now we've got a member on it, Mike Tomlin, as you know, he's on the uh, the the selection committee or the rules committee, whatever you want to call it. The competition committee is what the NFL calls it. But Mike Tomlin is on it. Sean McVay, head coach, he's on it. Sean McDermott. Now it's weird because Sean McDermott is one of the biggest proponents to get this thing outlawed. He constantly talks about getting it removed, getting it removed. But the Buffalo Bills are one of the teams, the teams that use it the most. I mean, obviously the Eagles, and then right behind them is the Bills. And so I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. So what's going on, Arch Baby Doll? How you doing? How you doing? You know our man Big G is in here tonight. He showed up to give us some support. But I'm just trying to figure out what why, first of all, why McDermott is trying to get rid of it. There's got to be some kind of meeting there. I know he's a defensive guy, but your team uses it. You have a quarterback that capitalizes on this thing, and now you want to get rid of it. I don't know. And are we getting rid of all quarterback sneaks, or is it only the tush push where you're going to eliminate to be able to be pushed from behind? I don't know. I think it's silly. I think it's silly. So it just, like I said, 3rd and 1. If you don't want anybody to use the play against you, don't allow teams to get to 3rd and 1. Don't do that. Stop them early. If that's what you're really worried about. So if that's what you're really worried about. But those are the coaches. John Lynch is a former player. It'd be hard for me to believe that John Lynch, as a former defensive player and a tough, hard-nosed guy, that he would want that to go away. But who knows, man? Who knows? We'll see. We'll see. It just seems like something that's not necessarily. So it's not necessary. And there are a couple other rules that the NFL's looking into. I want to see what you guys think of. The chat is, look, Detroit is coming up with all these proposals. Now, the one proposal that I actually think makes sense is that they're coming up with the current playoff rule. I thought this should have been changed a long time ago. We got our first super chat of the night, Mr. Alonzo Dunn. We appreciate you, man. And he says about the tush push, you can't stop it. Let's move the goalposts within the playing field. When will it end? Play ball. Exactly, Mr. Dunn. I mean, the NFL is just going so soft. It's ridiculous what's going on here, man. I'm like, golly, just look, you can't stop the play. Okay, fine. What are we going to make rules to stop everything? And I get it that it's something that benefits the offense, and defensive players are tired of everything to defend the offense. But how, like I said, what are we going to just say? Hey, it's 3rd and 1. You can't have a 3rd and 1 anymore. We got to move it back 2 yards. You can't have 3rd and 1. You can't have 2nd and 1. Nothing with 1 or 2 yards to go. Nope, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. The defense doesn't have a chance to stop you. We believe that the defense can't stop you. And then they say it's player safety. So, and this is what I'll say. I've watched a lot of these, and what's more risky of a football play? A guy running a route over the middle and a guy taking his knee out, or a tush push? And I get it. It's a bunch of guys, a bunch of big guys close to the line of scrimmage, pushing each other like a rugby scrum. I understand. And you can get hurt. But you know what? You can get hurt walking onto a football field too. It's a collision sport. It's a violent sport. I say this all the time. Bones break, ligaments tear. It's unfortunate and none of us like it, but it happens. You can't regulate injuries, man. You can't eliminate injuries from football. You're just not going to be able to do it unless you want to put flags on them. And even then, if you put flags on them, you don't think there's still going to be collisions? Of course there will. So you just can't legislate injuries out of the game of football. It's impossible. Nobody likes injuries. Nobody likes it. But they also understand that it's a part of it. Can't legislate it out of football, man. So can't do it. Can't do it. And my man Robert says, why don't the UFL and college do it? I'll be the first person to tell you, I have not watched a UFL football game, not one time in my life, and I'm never going to because it's not football to me. It's not the time. I don't care. As far as college, professional football ain't college. There's a lot of rules that college has that professional football doesn't have. So there's that. Just move on. Just move on. So, but Detroit's bringing up a rule as far as in the playoffs or to get in the playoffs. They brought up something that I think we all agree with, that no longer do you automatically get a home game just because you won your division. If a wild card team has a better record than you, then they will get the home game. I agree with that. I agree. And we've seen it before, a team with a losing record, even though they have won their division, they get a home game over a wild card team that may be 11-6. You know, team wins a division, they're 8-9, they get the home game. How the hell does that work? I mean, that's not even logical. You didn't have a better year. Why do you get rewarded just because you won your division? Clearly, your division was garbage. You know, if you can win it at 9-8, you know, clearly your division wasn't any good. So why do you get rewarded? Hell, I'm a wild card team and I won 11 football games. Now, that doesn't seem fair, does it? But we've seen it. And then, of course, the team that's won 9 games gets a home field advantage and they go on and win. So the best record, it has to mean something. It has to mean something. Can't just reward teams because they win their division, man. I'm out on that. I'm out on that. So Alonzo Dunn, another super chat, says that's a fair rule. No NFC South team will be there. Exactly. Exactly. I mean, think about Minnesota this year. Minnesota won 14 football games and had to go on the road. 14. They didn't win 8. They didn't win 9. They didn't win 10, 11, 13. They won 14 games. 14. And they had to go on the road in the playoffs. And I mean, that's crazy talk. That's crazy talk. It doesn't minimize the importance of the division. What do you tell? And who cares how important the division is? If your division and you win it with 9 games, you're telling me that's better than the team that won 14? Don't nobody care about that division. Your division was garbage if you could win it with 9 games. Doesn't minimize it. Doesn't minimize it at all. Maybe you should have a better team. Maybe you should win more football games. So maybe you should just win more football games. How about that? I mean, you know, you can win your division, but if I don't win my division and I win 14 football games, that means I have to go on the road in the playoffs and you won 9? I got to go to you? Nope. You get rewarded by getting into the playoffs by winning your division. That's your reward. Your reward shouldn't also be, oh, you get a playoff game. Because let me just ask this question. Let's just say in the division, which we saw this a couple of years ago, 3 different teams, actually it was this year, 3 teams make the playoffs from the NFC North that all had better records than the NFC South. They all had better records. But they had two of them had to go on the road. Now, how fair was that? Not very fair. Not very fair. Can't do that, people. You can't do that. Can't do that. Records have to mean something. It mean the regular season. You say that divisions don't mean anything. Well, doesn't the regular season mean something? Or are we just minimizing it? It's got to mean something. It's got to mean more. You know, all these teams at the end of the season that may want to rest guys for the playoffs, they're not going to be resting those guys anymore, are they? Well, we got the playoff matchup sewed up, but we can't win the division, so we're just going to rest our guys. Yeah, they won't be doing that anymore, will they? No. No. So football isn't about fair. I think football is 100% about being fair. It's the ultimate fair. It's the ultimate team game. What are you talking about? Come on, man. Let's not be crazy tonight. We're not doing crazy tonight, people. We're not doing crazy tonight. So we're not doing crazy. Mm-mm-mm. What do we got here? Doo-doo-doo-doo. Teams can make a run from any seed. Yeah, they can. So what? I mean, the Steelers, last time the Steelers won the Super Bowl, the Steelers, were the 6th seed. Had to go on the road. But they didn't earn a home game. Teams that don't earn home games shouldn't get a home game. And winning your division at 9-8 isn't earning a home game. No. No. Not at all. Not at all. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. That's just my opinion. I love the rule change if it happens. Again, it's got to be voted on by 24 out of 32 owners. But if they make that change, I'd love it. I would absolutely love it. So I think it would be a great change. Again, we'd get more games at the end of the year where we see some of these games don't mean anything. Those games would start meaning something. Those games would absolutely start meaning something. So, my man Wakan comes into the chat, man. What's going on, man? Said the padded rooms have been reopened. Yeah, people are wanting to get in the padded rooms. So, they're wanting to get into the padded rooms. So, don't have to get rid of divisions. Don't have to get rid of divisions. So, and that's all you have to do. Win more playoff games, man, or just win more games during the regular season. But you shouldn't get rewarded because you go 9-8 in a garbage division and I win 14 games in a better division. I happen to be second in my division because the team that I lost to won 15 games and now I got to go on the road. That's crazy. That's crazy. And I wouldn't say they're not changing it because they just brought it up for a vote. So I know you don't want them to change it, but I wouldn't say that. It's got a lot of support. A lot of support. The padded rooms are not the darkness retreats. No. The padded rooms are not the darkness retreats. So we don't do darkness retreats here. We're like Cam. We're like Cam Hayward. We don't do any darkness retreats. So, not doing it, not doing it, not doing it. So I like that rule change though. I definitely, if that happens, I would absolutely like it. I would absolutely like it. Let's see. What do we got here? Detroit. Oh, they're also wanting to get rid of the automatic first down. Like Detroit's wanting to get rid of, automatic first downs for defensive holding and illegal contact. They're wanting to get rid of those first downs. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about that. So, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't know why the super chat didn't come up from Alonzo Dunn. I see it in the chat, but I couldn't bring it up here. I don't know what's going on here. But anyway, Mr. Dunn says no participation trophies for sorry teams. Not interested in that continuing. Yeah, me neither. I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. But yeah, no, we don't have any. They're trying to get rid of the automatic first down for illegal contact. I like that. And defensive holding. I like that. I don't know if they're going to be able to get the defensive holding one. I don't know because the problem is I like it, but like when it's second or not second, but it's like 3rd and 14, and you get defensive holding or illegal contact, and it's automatic first down. It seems like it punishes the defense a little bit unfairly. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I'm trying to get a jam on a guy, and maybe it's at 7 yards versus 5, and you call me for illegal contact. Well, come on, man. It's only a 5-yard penalty. I don't think a 5-yard penalty should result in an automatic first down. I don't believe that at all. So, yeah, I don't like that one. I don't like that. So, we can't get rid of the Mel Blount rule, man. We can't do that. Wide receiver. You know what the wide receiver and passing numbers would look like if they got rid of the Mel Blount rule? Jiminy Christmas. Lord have. First of all, you'd have bigger guys out there playing corner. You remember how big Mel Blount was? We start to have safeties playing corner, just beating guys up on routes, just beating them up on routes. So that's number one. But we'll see. We'll see. That would be a funny one, though. That'd be interesting. That would be interesting. Yeah, we got to keep the Mel Blount rule, Mr. Alonzo Dunn. We got to keep the Mel Blount rule. We can't get rid of that. We can't get rid of that. Sheesh. Man. So, yes, Blount was vicious. Arch baby doll. Blount was vicious. He was vicious, but golly. So, guys would be getting beat up. Brother man, what's going on? Welcome to the chat, man. So, we appreciate it. Let's move on. Look, the Pittsburgh Steelers appear to like the DK and the George Pickens combination. They talked to Omar Khan. Omar Khan, he loves George Pickens. He is not inclined to trade George Pickens. Now, we know we're a month out from the draft, so or a little less than a month out from the draft. That could all be just GM talk. As of right now. So, and him saying this, maybe he's trying to up the price if somebody's trying to get Pickens. I still am under the belief, why get Metcalf if you're only going to go trade George Pickens? It just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me because you're literally in the same spot that you're in. You hadn't changed your fortunes as a wide receiver. The Steelers spent all last year trying to get a second receiver. Well, first opportunity that they get another one, and then you trade George Pickens. Well, you didn't help yourself, unless you say, well, now we're going to draft the guy with what our compensation for Pickens. But okay, you going to draft somebody that's better than Pickens? I mean, let's just be honest, people. Is there a guy in the draft that we're thinking, oh man, he's going to be better than George Pickens? That ain't this wide receiver draft. And we can talk about Pickens and his attitude problem and his effort issues all we want. And all those are legitimate things. Effort, attitude, in the tank. But I still believe we're about to get the best George Pickens that we've seen. I still believe that. And for one reason and one reason only, chat, y'all know what it is. It's contract year. It's contract year. And when it's contract year, I'm on my best behavior. I play as hard as I can. My attitude, is top notch. I want that money. Yes. Yes. Oh, I want that bag. Contract year. Now, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. If George Pickens acts like an idiot this year, then he truly is an idiot. He truly is an idiot. You're telling me you're trying to get paid, and I'm not saying that he won't. I'm not saying that he won't, because we have seen no signs of George Pickens maturing. We've seen it actually get worse. But yeah, we've seen zero signs that this kid can actually mature. Zero signs. But maybe, just maybe, the allure of getting paid is going to change him. I don't know. I mean, that's a big if, but I don't know. So I would hope that somebody got in his ear. If nothing else, his agent say, "Hey man, don't mess up this huge bag. What are you doing? Don't mess it up. Well, you got an opportunity here." So Mr. Alonzo Dunn says, "Let's give Pickens a chance during the contract year. Besides, having DK will help." Absolutely. That's why I don't think you trade him. I don't think it doesn't make sense. This wide receiver class, while it's got some players, it's not super deep. You're not replacing a talent like Pickens in this draft. You're just not doing that. You're not doing that. So let's see what we got. Let's see what we got. But they like him. That's the word on the street, man, is that they like the potential of this combination. So they're excited about having both of them. But my thing is, where do you draw the line? Where do you draw the line with Pickens? Is like, do you draw the line with his behavior, continuity, or a big trade package? Like, where do you draw the line? Like, if somebody comes to us and says, "Okay, Steelers, we'll give you a first and a fourth for George Pickens," don't we have to take that? You know what I'm saying? If somebody comes to us and says, "We'll give you a first and a fourth for Pickens," don't the Steelers have to say yes? We may not want to, but I'm thinking we have to say yes to that. Because even though I don't think that we can get a player, the caliber of Pickens with this draft as far as a wide receiver, maybe you get somebody that's fairly close, but he has a better attitude. Because again, we've talked about this multiple times. The Steelers aren't one player away from winning a Super Bowl. You know, we need as many good bodies. We need as much ability or availability or access, may be the better word, access to as many good players as possible. So the more first round picks you have, the better. So that's just something to think about. Mr. Dunn says, "I believe he needs the ball on a consistent basis, not having a QB." It says, yeah. That's the thing about Pickens. You gotta give him the ball early. Him and DK Metcalf, you're gonna have to get them the ball early. I mean, those are guys that you got to get them involved early in the football game. You know, even if it's just a quick little hitch, quick little slant to say, "Hey, man, we love you. We're gonna get you involved early." Quick little slant, quick comeback route, something simple. Something simple to get them engaged. But when you go a quarter and a half and the only ball that you've thrown Pickens is a little 2-yard wide receiver screen, that's a problem. And there's 4 minutes left in the second quarter and he's got one target, that's a problem. And there were too many games this year with the Steelers, that's what it looked like. So we have to be better at that. We have to be better. So, yes, Arch Baby Doll, force feed them the football. Force feed them the football. We'll see, though. We'll see. But yeah, man, if we've got an opportunity, so Big G says this. He says, "I think the Packers offer their first and a fourth." Yes. GP is a beast, just a crash out. I mean, he is a beast. But a first and a fourth round, the Steelers can upgrade their roster. They got to say goodbye to George Pickens if that was the trade. If that was the trade. First of all, Pickens wasn't even a first round pick, but the reason he wasn't It was because of his attitude that we've had to deal with. So, but you got to throw them the football. If you're not going to throw them the football, first of all, if you're not going to throw either one of them the football a lot, then why do we have them? I mean, do you know how mad I will be if we have George Pickens and DK Metcalf, and you're going to tell me that we're going to still run the ball 64, 65% of the time? I don't even want a 60-40 split. You got to give me a minimum of 50-50, and I'd be okay if it was 55-45 the other direction, throwing the football. I don't care what kind of offense you have, Arthur Smith. You need to change it. You need to change it, and change it quickly. So, change it quickly. Nobody said that Pickens was worth a first-round pick, Somber. We said if that was the trade package, we would trade him. Nobody said he was worth that. Let's don't do that, man. Don't do that. We said if that was the trade package, then we would say yes, we would do that trade. Which we would. And we'd be stupid if we didn't. We'd be crazy if we didn't. Absolutely crazy. So, but we'll see. We'll see. Uh-oh. Mr. Alonzo Dunn, super chat, he says, imagine AB without Big Ben throwing him the football. I mean, can y'all imagine? First of all, but yeah, can you imagine what AB would be like if Ben didn't throw him the football? Can y'all imagine that? Whew. So, but neither of these guys are AB. Let's not kid ourselves. Neither of those guys are AB. But that doesn't mean that we still can't throw the football. These two guys are good football players, man. We got to do that. We've just got to change our offense to do something a little bit different. Speaking of changing the offense, Mike Tomlin has basically committed what I call head coaching malpractice. I don't know if any of y'all heard any of his interview at the owners meeting, but Mike Tomlin has committed head coaching malpractice. And let me explain what I mean by that. Is that he came out and basically covered his tracks because he's come out and says, yes, Aaron Rodgers was in. We talked to him. We met him. We got to know him. He got to know us. But we don't have a timetable. We don't have a timetable for him to come in. Now, obviously, he's going to say that out in public because he doesn't want to piss Aaron Rodgers off. Aaron Rodgers, had this throwing session with DK Metcalf. Now, it wasn't just him and DK Metcalf. It was Metcalf, a couple other guys, that rookies coming into the league. But Metcalf was there. He was absolutely there. So that happened. Doesn't mean anything. I would like to think it did. I mean, if I'm Aaron Rodgers and I'm going to retire, why am I having a throwing session with anybody? Like, I don't need to go help somebody, run routes if I'm not playing. That's just me. Seems like Aaron Rodgers is trying to get his arm in shape and get his arm going, this is what you would do if you're planning on playing football. This is the kind of stuff that you would do. But Mike Tomlin has come out and, hey, we don't have a timetable. Remember that April 21st deadline? Tomlin said, deadlines usually don't go well when you put those out there. And this is what I would say. Tomlin's right about that. Deadlines usually don't work when somebody's trying to make a decision. You're trying to get them to come to your organization, but you set a deadline. I mean, just think about you. If somebody wanted you to do something for them, but they told you, well, you got to do it by this date, how would that go? Because I can tell you right now, for me, if somebody said, hey, Big B, we want you to come do this. We want you to come do our podcast, but you better do it by this date. Otherwise, we don't want you. You're right. You don't want me because I'm just fine at Steelers Almighty. I'm not doing it. I'll decide when I want to come over there, especially if I don't have to have a deadline. So, trying to give grown folks deadlines on stuff that they don't have to do, that usually doesn't work out too well. So Tomlin's right about that, man. He's right. He's 100% right. Having said all of that, he said something that, which is where I'm getting to the head coaching malpractice. Well, mini camp and OTAs, those are just those, we're not doing any team development. Those are just for fundamentals. Guys are coming in learning. We're not putting any team stuff. We're not doing those kinds of things. It's just, for just to evaluate guys, just a learning aspect of football. Almost like guys are just going through the fundamentals. And I'm like, hold on a second. You're telling me that a quarterback that hasn't played in your organization, hasn't played with any of the receivers on your team, him coming to mini camp and OTAs isn't important? I I'm just not going to buy it. I'm just not going to buy it. I just I just can't. I can't with this. I just can't. I'm like, first of all, he can think that if that's what he wants to think, but for him to come out and say that in public, that OTAs and minicamp, hey, that's, those are fundamental, you know, type of thing. That's just learning. We're not doing any team development in that. Really? No team development. Huh. Oh my goodness. I just, what's going on, Capricorn Steel? I couldn't believe that he said it. I could not believe that he said it. It just drove me insane. So it was wild. It was wild. Y'all are talking. I see y'all in the chat talking about how Mike Tomlin was sweating. He was, wasn't he? He was sweating like crazy. I was like, man, what's he doing? And the whole time he was talking about it, he was just sweating like well, I won't say it. I won't say it. Yes, I will. He was sweating like a whore in church. I was like, what is going on with Mike Tomlin? I'm like, my goodness, this brother's been, he was out, what it was, Mike Tomlin was on a bender last night. Damn it, that's what Mike Tomlin was on a bender the night before, and he was sweating it all out. That's all that comes down to, man. He was on that liquor. Him and Big Pun was on that liquor together, and he was sweating it out. Big Pun, you got Mike Tomlin drunk, didn't you? You got him drunk. And then he had to go and face the press the next day. Y'all was on that Woodford together, wasn't you? Man, I knew it. I knew it. Y'all knew Big Pun got Mike Tomlin drunk. Jiminy Christmas. Uh, uh, Out there on that liquor together. Drinking on that good Woodford. Mike T was out there. I mean, just sweating. My God. Y'all see Mike Tomlin coach in 100-degree football games. He ain't sweating like that. Lord have mercy. Oh, man. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. But Mike Tomlin, yeah, that's that BS, man. Come on now. What are you talking about? The OTAs and minicamp aren't that big of a deal. That's somebody that's trying to backtrack or trying to save face because Aaron Rodgers' decision may not be made by the time that minicamp and OTAs come around. So by him saying, hey, it doesn't mean that much, he can save face to some people. Hey, we don't need a quarterback right now. We're not implementing any team stuff. Give me a break. Give me a break. So I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. It just, like I said, to me, I thought it was coaching malpractice for him to come out and say that. He implied that the Steelers didn't need a quarterback until training camp, that they didn't need to decide. Then he came out and said, well, we're very comfortable with Mason Rudolph. Because they asked, hey, what's plan B? Well, I don't really have a plan A, B, C, yada, yada, yada. We're very comfortable with Mason Rudolph moving forward. Really? Is that what we feel? Chat, are we comfortable with Mason Rudolph moving forward? If he has to be the starter, are we okay with it? Are we remember the most games in a season that Mason Rudolph's ever started is 8 games. Are we okay with him being the starter? Because while I think Mason Rudolph is a great backup, I'm not going. I'm no, 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 no. And see, and I knew this was going to happen. Somebody said, "Yeah," because it means we're going to pick 10 in the top 10 next year. I got you. I understand that philosophy. I understand that philosophy. So 8 wins or less, then yes, I get it. I get it. Here's the thing though. Y'all know this. Mason Rudolph could win 9 games with the Steelers. Y'all know it. Y'all know it. Y'all know it. If Mason Rudolph had to be the quarterback for the Steelers all year long, y'all know in your hearts, whether you want to admit it or not, the Steelers will win 9 football games. You know that. You know it. So for anybody that thinks that we're going to be terrible with him, we won't be. We won't be. So super chat by our man Capricorn Steel. He says, Big B, we need a swing guard or competition for McCormick. Yes, we might draft a late round tackle, but Anderson doesn't thrill me at swing guard. Thoughts? Anderson doesn't thrill me at swing guard. We don't have a swing tackle. I think we bring in competition for both. Look, I put the podcast out there last week and talked about, and I'll ask you guys in here, is it a horrible idea if the Steelers draft a tackle early in this draft? Let's just say the Steelers are like, you know what? I don't know that we can trust Broderick Jones or Troy Faitanu. I want to bring in competition for both of those guys. They draft the guy early and they bring in another free agent. Would you guys be opposed to that? Because I wouldn't. I'm not saying they should 100% do it, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. It seems wild that the Steelers would draft another tackle in the first round, especially with so many holes and unproven commodities currently on your football team. But if they say, first off, this is what we'll know. Let's just say the Steelers take an offensive tackle in the first round. You know what that means? They don't trust Broderick Jones. That's all it means is that they absolutely don't trust Broderick Jones. So are we going to be mad if they do? Are we going to be mad if the Steelers do that? If they say, you know what? You know my philosophy, people. It's fine to make a mistake, but don't live in the mistake. Are we going to be okay with that? Because the Steelers are telling it like they did with Baby Hands Pickett. This guy ain't the guy, and shipped his ass out. As soon as he didn't want competition, we're like, you know what? We can upgrade over you. Goodbye. Would y'all be mad if they did the same thing with Broderick Jones? Brother Man said that the Steelers stay and stick with Mason Rudolph. We better draft a lot of offensive linemen. Well, there you go. That's all I'm saying is that if they do that, I mean, I don't know. You can't just find good offensive linemen late in the draft, man. That's not how this works. Finding good offensive linemen late in the draft. I mean, the best guys available are available higher in the draft. So if that's what they want to do, okay. To me, like I said, it will 100% signal that the Steelers don't trust either Troy Faitanu's health or Broderick Jones' ability if they took a tackle in the first round. So that's why I wouldn't be mad about it. I wouldn't be mad at all. So I wouldn't be mad at all because they're saying, hey, man, we can't trust these guys and we got to have an offensive line. We got to have an offensive line. So that's all I'm saying. So I wouldn't be mad at all. Not at all. And I know a lot of you don't want to go with the lineman again, but it's like I said, if they're evaluating the talent, which We can have a different conversation on a different day on whether they are good at evaluating talent. That's not the point here. If they're saying, we need another guy, I'll trust that we need another guy. That's all I'm saying. I'll trust that we need another guy. So, Big Al wasn't a high round pick, Ramon Foster, but you know who were high round picks? Mike Pouncey, David DeCastro. They were. How good are they? And Pouncey and DeCastro were better than Big Al and Ramon Foster. Stop the nonsense. Just stop it. Stop it. I mean, you can talk about that all you want. Better players are available earlier in the draft. It's just that simple. Because here's the thing. If Pouncey is better, or if is better and DeCastro, if Pouncey and DeCastro are better than the other guys and you take them early, then what's the point? Oh, well, we'll just wait. We'll wait. What if the Steelers didn't take Pouncey? What if they don't? What if the Steelers didn't take DeCastro? We can get somebody in the 5th round. Well, we can get an undrafted free agent to come in. Really? You can't build a line that way. It's not how it works. So, it's not how it works. But we'll see. We'll see. Exactly. Draft isn't exact science. You don't know. People can miss. People miss all the time. But you have a better chance if the guy's played really good football in college. Your chances are better that he's going to play good football in the pros. Doesn't mean that he will, because how many guys have we seen be the best at their position in college? The absolute best coming to the pros, out of the league in 3 years. We've seen it all the time. So it happens. But you still take more chances with those guys. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Doesn't mean that there's an undrafted free agent that can't be a Hall of Famer. Doesn't mean that. Doesn't mean that. So we'll see. We will see. Steelers defense is not that bad. So why do we keep wanting to blow it up and not fill the holes? I mean, has anybody said to blow the Steelers defense up? Because I don't remember. Are we just talking about the Steelers in general? I mean, if we're talking about the Steelers in general, that's a different conversation, because I don't remember anybody saying blow the Steelers defense up. Their problem is, and you're right, brother, man, they don't address the problem. So the problem is like corner. Why didn't we go out and pay a big money corner? Like, why didn't we do that? So why didn't we go out there and do that? It didn't make sense to me. So just didn't make sense to me. And we had the money. We had the ability to do it. But Omar Khan again made a comment that I couldn't stand, talking about these compensatory picks. I'm like, man, if you don't shut up about these compensatory picks in 2026, I don't care. I literally don't care. Oh, we're going to use them to move up to draft a quarterback. That's the thing. Now, nobody has said that the Steelers brass, but those are the rumors. They're going to use them to move up. To move up and draft who? Everybody keeps talking about Arch Manning. We don't even know if Arch Manning is a good quarterback yet. We really don't know that yet. We've seen him have some good moments against some bad competition, but we haven't seen, like, he got in the game against Georgia. What did Arch Manning look like when he got in the game against Georgia? Lord have mercy. He looked like a deer in the headlights. So everybody talking about moving up for him, hold your horses. Let him play some good football first. Then we can see. And then we can all fawn over him. Great. Hey, he's the next coming of his uncles. Great. Well, one of his uncles. So we'll see, man. We'll see. I'm done with this compensatory pick talk and all this stuff and yada yada yada. So it gets on my nerves. Gets on my nerves. There he is. There's old Leonard Dodd. What's going on, man? Arch may not even enter the draft in 2026. Exactly. His brothers, who played a hell of a lot more football than he did, didn't enter the draft until they were seniors. Hell, Eli Manning was a fifth-year senior, and he entered the draft then. So I'm just saying, people, don't just expect Arch Manning to come out early. I wouldn't bet on that at all. I wouldn't bet on that at all. So would not bet on it. Do I prefer Sanders or Arch? Like Shedeur Sanders? I like Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders just doesn't have the crazy arm strength that people talk about. But what everybody seems to not want to give him credit for is how smart Shedeur Sanders is, how his football IQ is out of this world, while how he anticipates throws and throws guys open. Nobody wants to give Shedeur Sanders credit for that. And I'm just trying to figure out why. Like, he doesn't have the greatest arm strength. He doesn't. But he doesn't have a horrible arm. Not at all. He doesn't have a noodle arm. That's just ridiculous talk. He's fine. He can make all the throws. He can make every single throw. Every single one of them. Do guys have stronger arms than him? Absolutely. Of course they do. Of course they do. But I would take Shedeur Sanders. But I wouldn't move up to draft him, though. I wouldn't do that. You know, people keep talking about Steelers are going to move up to draft the quarterback. For what? For what? No. And if he fell and the Steelers could move back to like 25 or 26 and draft him, I would do that. But I ain't moving up. Nope. Steelers don't need to move up. We need bodies. We don't need to be giving up draft capital. So we'll see. We will see. A lot of talk about him falling because once he gets past 9, there's a lot of teams that don't need a quarterback. A lot of teams that don't need quarterback. The Steelers can't trade up to get their guy, man. First of all, Shedeur Sanders isn't that type of prospect. That's number one. Number two, the Steelers need bodies. They're not a one player away. You can't give up. What if the Steelers moved up to, let's just say they moved up to 12. You know how much draft capital they would have to give up to get a quarterback that may or may not hit? They don't need to do that. So Leonard Dodd said, we need a QB that is accurate and has anticipation. Arm strength doesn't mean that much if he can't hit a target. You're exactly right on that. I mean, everybody needs some arm strength. As long as you can make all the throws, that's all that really matters. Read a defense, throw with anticipation, and you're accurate. That's what we need. That's literally what we need. I didn't mention, he's got to have a cannon. No, you don't. No, you don't. Plenty of quarterbacks in this league survived and played a lot of years without cannons. You know, Joe Montana didn't have a cannon. And somehow he was just fine. Somehow he was just fine. So Steelers need a D-line first. Yeah, I don't disagree. That's why I say all the quarterback talk is nice, but Steelers need a D-line first. They got to fix it. They got to fix it. And if they don't, it's a problem. So it's a problem. We'll see. We'll see. No, you don't get bodies next year with compensatory picks because you don't even know when those compensatory picks are going to be. You have no idea yet. So, no. If Sanders is your guy, first of all, if he's your guy, you're going to have to use some of those to move up to get him. Mm-mm-mm. I don't think Kenneth Grant's going to be around anymore. I know a lot of people, myself included, wanted Kenneth Grant. I don't think Grant's going to be available to the Steelers at 21 any longer. I think he's going before that, unfortunately, which was going to suck, but I think that's going to happen. Mr. Alonzo Dunn has a great point. Jeff George had the strongest arm in history. How he'd work out. Exactly. Exactly. The whole phrase of throwing a ball through a car wash and it doesn't get wet started with Jeff George. And yet Jeff George, inaccurate, an idiot, horrible NFL quarterback. Horrible. So, horrible, horrible, horrible. But yeah, I got a feeling that Grant's going to be gone. So, here's a good question. Where would you say Roman Wilson would stand in this year's draft if he were there? Is he a top 5 guy? Top 5 receiver, maybe. But that's about it. Top 5, top 10. I mean, I can't really answer that because I'm still jaded on Roman Wilson from last year. I'm still jaded. I need to see him play football games. Leonard Dodd. So is the report about teams that spent the most on free agency legit? Steelers spent the least amount of money and had the 5th most money going into free agency. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Steelers had a ton of money and didn't spend it. Now, granted, I guess we're technically waiting to spend some of that on Aaron Rodgers, if that's the case. But yeah, that's where we are with it. That's where we are with it. And not only that, the Steelers can get more money. Like they can extend TJ Watt, which they'll do before the beginning of the season. They can, restructure Minka, Alex Highsmith, Pat Fryermuth. They can get more money. There's plenty of money that's still going to be available for the Steelers. But we didn't spend it on big money free agents. So we didn't spend money on it. Yeah, we don't even know what Roman Wilson is. That's a good point. That's a good point. We don't even know what Russell Wilson is. Or not Russell Wilson, excuse me. Roman Wilson. We have no idea what he is. So, but we'll see. We will see. Got hurt twice. And reports that he couldn't learn the playbook. Gee, many Christmas. That to me is troubling. They never felt comfortable enough giving him a helmet. Once he got healthy, they never felt comfortable giving him a helmet to suit up on Sundays because they weren't comfortable with him knowing the offense. Man. So that in itself has to be frightening. Has to be frightening. So, yeah, I think the Steelers are waiting for roster cuts to add more people because there's still guys out there now. There will be some more guys later. So, we'll see. He said, if Pickens can learn it, how hard can it be? Man, don't start. Don't start. I don't know. Don't start, Big Pun. Don't you start, man. But you're right. You're right. It's whew. Mm, mm, mm. Nah, you can't blame coaches for guys not learning to play. See, that's what I'm talking about with Steeler fans. You're now blaming coaches because a player can't learn the playbook. I mean, do players have no responsibilities? So now my playbook is too difficult for you to learn. Now everybody else can learn it, but because this guy can't learn it, now that's the coach's fault? Come on, man. What are we doing? But I mean, don't players have no responsibility? That's what we're talking about. that they have no responsibility to learn the playbook. That, hey, man, the playbook's too hard. You got to dumb this down for me. I can't learn it. Oh my God. Yeah, you can't. Come on, man. What are we doing? Leonard Dodd, didn't they ask him to play special teams? Maybe that's why he got hurt. No, he got hurt in practice on a tackle. That's how he first hurt his ankle. And then I don't know how he got hurt in practice the second time, but it doesn't matter. He needed to play special teams. Clearly that was the only way he was going to get on the field because he couldn't learn the playbook. So can't blame coaches. Should be able to teach your playbook to a high schooler. Well, first of all, you're assuming that high schoolers are stupid. That would be your first mistake. Second of all, you're assuming that Roman Wilson isn't stupid. That would be your second mistake. So to assume that a high school kid can't grasp an NFL playbook, that's not reality. We don't know that. It doesn't mean just because they haven't seen it and they're familiar with it. There are plenty of high school playbooks that are difficult and they can learn it. Can't do that. So somebody just reported it and people ran with it. I hope that's the case. I hope that is the case, that it wasn't true that he can't learn the playbook, but it came from too many different people. And where there's smoke, there's fire. And if I'm Roman Wilson, I don't let that get said about me. Somebody's coming out and saying that I couldn't learn the playbook. Next time somebody sticks a microphone in my face, I answer the question and say, no, that ain't true. I just didn't get my opportunities. I got hurt and got behind in the depth chart. But I knew the playbook. But everybody's different. Pundits are picking Roman to be a recent bust for whatever reason. I don't know if you can say he's a bust just yet because, he hasn't even played. Like, what did he have? 5 snaps? So it's hard to say somebody's going to be a bust that's only had 5 snaps. That might be just people out there just talking. So I wouldn't say he's a bust. I wouldn't say that at all. He might be. I'm not saying he won't. I'm just not going to put that on him after 5 snaps of football and 2 injuries. Sorry, Big B. I'm blaming O-line coach for his coaching. Kevin Dotson, anybody? What technique? No, hold on, Mr. Dodd. Playing somebody out of position and technique coaching is something totally different than somebody not taking accountability to learn the playbook. That's not even in the same stratosphere. Pat Meyer not being able to teach offensive linemen to get better is not the same as somebody not learning the playbook. Like, nobody said Dotson was bad because he couldn't learn the playbook. People said Dotson was bad because he was playing out of position and he wasn't learning anything. That Steelers didn't have a coach. That's different. That's totally different. So I'm with you with blaming him. I'm with you with blaming Pat Meyer for that. Because that's not the same thing. That's not the same thing. If it was, hey, man, Dotson couldn't learn the playbook, that's why he didn't play well in Pittsburgh. Well, that would be a different conversation. So that would be a different conversation. Somebody said turn into the Bengals and start ripping it around the field. I wouldn't be mad about that. We've had on a couple podcasts, we've had, producer questions. He brings in crazy questions. And a couple of times he said, hey, would you rather have a good offense and a bottom tier defense? And I'm like, the Steelers have had that. Remember that Jacksonville playoff game? So the Steelers have had a crazy offense and a bad defense. But I've been jaded for the last 4 years of offense. I'd go back to that. I would 100% go back to that, chat. As painful as that was to know that we couldn't beat Blake, that we couldn't stop Blake Bortles. As painful as that was, I'm so jaded by having such bad offenses the last 4 years. I'd go back. I'd go back to it. I really would. I would go back. And that was painful because we all knew Blake Bortles is awful. We all knew it. but we couldn't stop them. Damn it, we couldn't stop them. We couldn't even slow them down. Not stop them, people. We couldn't even slow them down. Man, that was brutal. But I've been jaded by the previous offensive coordinator that doesn't get named on Steelers Almighty channel. We don't do that. And what we got going on, I'd go back. So our answer to Joe Burrow was baby hands. I should ban you from the channel for even saying something like that. I'm going to bring your comment up. Our answer to Joe Burrow was baby hands. People, feel free to attack him. Feel free to attack. Your hand should bleed from typing that. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Blake Bortles putting up 46. Yeah, don't remind us. Oh, don't remind us. Don't remind us. Balance is key, says Topaz. Topaz Yates. Balance is key. Get rid of the overpriced defense. Brother, you can't say that loud. You can't scream it loud enough. You can't scream it loud enough. So, a man Leonard Dodd says, Mike Tomlin's scheme ain't finna throw anything around no field. No, he's not. He's scared to turn the ball over with that $160 million defense. That's why we don't keep Haley. Yeah, why we didn't keep Haley. You're exactly right. Haley wasn't all Mike Tomlin. Now, Tomlin got rid of him, don't get me wrong, but Big Ben hated Haley. They couldn't get along. So that was part of those issues. They literally couldn't get along. But I thought Todd Haley was amazing with the Steelers. Amazing with the Steelers. But him and Big Ben, that wasn't going to work. That wasn't going to work. My man Somber with the super chat. Appreciate you all supporting the channel. Thoughts on Mike T saying he's comfortable in Warren being the RB1. So we didn't cover that, but I'm not comfortable with it. I'm not. I don't think that Jaylen Warren is a number one running back. He's a change of pace guy. We've seen it. We've seen when Jaylen Warren gets his carries above or his touches above 15. He doesn't have the same explosion. He fumbles the football. We've seen it. He's a 12, an 8 to 13. I'll even give him up to 15 touches a game guy. That's what he is. Any more than that, he doesn't have the same burst, doesn't have the same type of explosion. So while he's comfortable with him being the number one running back, and maybe he'll surprise us. Maybe Jaylen Warren will say, you know what? I'm the number one guy. I've got a different training regimen, to understand that I'm the number one guy. I can live with that. I'll be able to live with that. So definitely would be able to live with that. Somebody said Pun was on to something. Now, I don't know what he said, but I'm going to try to find it and see if he's on that liquor. He said, I bet if Brock Purdy was a Steeler, he'd have looked just as bad as Pickett. Ooh, Big Pun put the drink down and came with that one. Big Pun put the drink down and said Brock Purdy would look as bad as baby hands. Yeah, you're right. I've never been a believer in Brock Purdy, though. That's my thing. I've just never been that guy. Never been that guy. Lonzo Dunn said he doesn't hold the ball after 3 quarters. Yeah, that's my thing about Warren, man. That's my thing about Warren. So, Mr. Dodd, curious to see how they'll use Gainwell because him and Warren are the same type of player. That's exactly what I thought. I thought the Gainwell signing made absolutely no sense. And it isn't because I think he's a bad player. I think he's fine. But him and Jaylen Warren are the same. And I would hope that the Pittsburgh Steelers draft a rookie. I mean, again, that would be GM malpractice. I know I keep using that a lot. You don't draft a running back in this draft, then you're not even trying. You're not even trying. So, Lavelle Pitts, Cincy, trying to outscore. Let's see how they do it. And Cincy, then they're not going to be able to do it. Joe Burrow's going to get killed. And no O-line, no defense. We'll see how it works, but it didn't work this year. I mean, Cincinnati tried to outscore everybody this year. They didn't even make the playoffs. So there's that. Didn't even make the playoffs. So you just can't outscore everybody in this league. At some point in time, you have to have some sort of a defense. So, some sort of a defense. That's my thoughts on it. You got to have something. Something. If we could, I would trade for Bijan. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of teams would trade for Bijan. I would absolutely trade for Bijan. Self-Made said they wanted the same QB room. Why not the same RB room? Don't start with me, Self-Made. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. Okay? I'm trying to have a good night tonight, and here you are. Don't you do it, man. Don't do it. Oh, Mr. Dodd says, empty calories, Joe Burrow. You're damn right, empty calories, Joe Burrow. Damn right. Big pun. There's no general manager on earth, including the Falcons, are going to trade Minka Fitzpatrick for Bijan Robinson. You picked your liquor back up. You picked your liquor up and something else. I won't go into what that something else is, but stop it. Put it down, man. Put it down. Trade Minka for Bijan. Of course, everybody would do that. Ain't nobody doing that. What's wrong with you? Just when I get, you see, people, this is the problem. I give y'all compliments. And then what do? I give Big Pun a compliment because usually Big Pun is on some hard liquor, talking crazy. But he made a great point about Purdy and baby hands. Great point. Boom. Next comment. Here we go again. Trade Minka for Bijan. Well, of course. Of course. Yeah, Atlanta's begging to give Bijan Robinson up for an $18 million safety that plays free safety that just plays center field. I mean, not to mention they got Jesse Bates back there. But hey, let's go pay this guy $18 million and give up one of the top 5 running backs in the league. Come on, Big Pun. Stay off the liquor. Oh, and Mad Dog 2020. Man. Man, I haven't had Mad Dog 2020, boy. That's been a minute. That has been a minute. Whew. All right, man. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to bust out of here for the night. Appreciate y'all. Remember, tomorrow night, we got the big show coming up. Me and Big G getting after it again. Appreciate everybody that's showing up. Do me this favor, man. When this is over, get into the actual video. Click on it. Give it a like. Leave a comment. Another announcement before everybody bust out of here. On Friday is our podcast that we have during the off season on Fridays. It is our 1-year anniversary. We started this thing on April 4th of 2024. April 4th of 2024. So I want as many of you all in that live chat as possible. Again, it's the podcast, so it's a recorded podcast, but we are in the live chat answering questions, having fun. So I'd appreciate everybody to show up on Friday for sure. Make sure you show up tomorrow for the big show. We're going to have a lot of fun, me and Big G, like we always do, man. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for showing up, and I will talk to you soon. Aloha.